Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Minnehaha County Commissioners to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, this is a special commission meeting here. We have one purpose, and that's to consider a motion to certify the results of the June 2nd, 2020 primary election canvass. Bob Litz, and I would let the commissioners know that Bob has also agreed to come to our commission meeting tomorrow to discuss the election a little bit. So we get you 2 days in a row.
You bet. Well, good morning, Commission. Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office, post-election here, and this is an event that we do for every election as we get the auditor, the commissioner's blessing on the results, and then I will take and get them to the state for the state canvass after this, assuming that you do approve. I've also in this election here, it was the first time that I've been able to pull up the unofficial results with the statistics that are on there, and I wanted to provide everybody with a hard copy of that. Because there's some pretty interesting statistics. We have capabilities that we did not have before. Thank you to some software upgrades and everybody going to Windows 10 throughout the state for elections. The tallies for both of them are the same, which is the way it's supposed to be. Interspersed with the official results are the total registered voters on June 2nd in Minnehaha County was 16,904. That's active and inactive. Total Republican registrations in the county is 47,407. Total Democratic registrations in the county are 69,500. The total ballots that were cast were 28,570, with the Republicans casting 14,730 of those, and the Democrats casting 13,840. Voter turnout, just as a raw across-the-board number, was 24.5%. Some other interesting things was we had 654 blank ballots turned into us this time. The Republican ballot cast total was 14,730, and the Democrat ballots cast total was 13,840. Those numbers are kind of an important distinction to me because, if you look, the Democrats have a larger registration base in Minnehaha County than the Republicans do. However, the Republicans used the absentee ballot process more than the Democrats did, and I think that's a fact that's contrary to opinion that a lot of people have. With those, I'm open to any questions, and then after that, I would ask that we approve this and get it signed, and we'll move it on to the Secretary of State's office.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the auditor?
I have a couple, and I will have a comment later on. Bob, what's the story on the absentee ballots? Not absentee, but the registration. I know, can a person call the office and change their party affiliation, or do they have to fill out a whole new form?
You need to fill out a voter registration if you want to change that registration or update it in any fashion, because we need that original wet signature. So you have to mail it in or return it in by hand. There is no electronic submission of voter registration materials.
And if I may, and I say that because we had a number of people come in to, I was drafted by you to go to work in VP4, and we had a number of people come in that were under the mistaken impression that they could vote in the Republican primary, and they couldn't, and that is what I would attribute a number of the blank ballots that were turned in to be. But they had their feelings about it, and they weren't happy with us. But it's the record that you keep, and we told them to contact your office.
That's true. We've got a scan of every voter registration and every absentee ballot application that everybody's ever made. And so, if you've got an issue with that, I think a lot of those were independents that, have washed their hands of both parties, and they think that they can still go vote in the Republican primary. They cannot. The Democrats have an open tent situation where they will let the independents and NPAs, which is non-political affiliation, vote in their election. The Republicans, however, have a closed primary. That means if you want to vote in a Republican primary, you have to register as Republican. And there are a significant number of people that will do that before each election. They'll look the candidates over and see who they want to vote for and how they want their voice heard, and they will change their registration. I'll remind you that in order to be effective for that election, you have to be 15 days before the date of the election. We'll have to have it.
So basically, it's something that they should look into before the next primary, because it won't matter this November. And they can vote any which way they want this November.
That's correct. You know, it's the candidates will be decided in the big election coming up in November. So you know, it isn't a huge deal which party that you belong for. Your ballot's in secret. You can vote for whoever you want. However, and I would advise you to investigate all things, all on the election, who the candidates are, what they stand for, you know, what and who you want to vote for ahead of time in every election. But yes, in the primary, it matters more, I think, even though the general election is bigger. The primary election, if you're worried about who's in the party positions, it matters more. So, and there were elections decided. There's nobody running against people in the general election, so there were elections decided at the primary, and some people don't understand that.
One more item.
I'm going to let Commissioner Karski ask
Okay,
the question
sorry.
and then let you come back.
So, and I just want to make sure I understand this properly. When you say there's 116,904 total registered voters, when you look at the Republican column, the 47,000 is because the Republicans only allow Republicans to vote in their primary. So are the Democrats at 69,500, including all the independents and non-party affiliations?
No, that's not those either.
So those are actually registered Democrats. They're not.
Those are Dems that are registered in the county of Minnehaha County.
Because you had made the comment that the Democratic Party allows.
That's right. It allows the independents and the NPAs to vote in their
So you're not counting on them in the 69,000.
no. So if you're looking at them and thinking that all these independents automatically vote Democrat, number one, I would tell you that's not the case. Number two, that you know, you throw them on there and you cannot predict which way those independent ballots are going to go.
Commissioner Barth?
I just was going to ask, there was some talk, at least in one pseudo media outlet, about one precinct with 89% turnout. Was that resolved? Was there an issue?
I don't know. I have not heard that. I don't know
was
what they're
in
talking
the-
about there.
In the city election, they mentioned that, and of course they were advocating for a candidate in that thing, but I don't see it here, so I'm happy.
I didn't see it there either, and you know, of course, that is Mr. Greco's business more than mine, but I think I'd notice an anomaly like that and we'd talk about it. However, that said, we've not been able to, Tom and I have not contacted each other after the election we've both been cleaning up our own sides of the aisle, you know, our own separate aisles. And, you know, I'm quite certain he has a recount. I had one that qualifies as a recount, and I don't know if those petitions, I've not seen them in my office yet, and I don't know if they got filed with the Secretary of State or what's going on with that, but I think I have one that's very interesting to look at in terms of recount.
Commissioner Heiberger, I just want to make sure that your voice is heard. Did you have any questions?
Just one. Auditor Litz, can you tomorrow, since you're going to come back and speak to us again tomorrow, could you just look up and see what the registered number of independent voters are in Minnehaha County? I'm assuming there must be a number somewhere.
Yes, I can do that. And then you want the NPAs too. That's a non-political affiliation, which is the same as an independent technically. However, some people put down independent and others put down, they don't put anything in there. So if they don't put anything in their preference of party, then we put NPA. And NPA also gets you a Democrat ballot when you go into the polling place.
Thank you, Commissioner Heiberger. Was that it?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions here this morning? All right.
I will comment later, but I'll make a motion to approve this canvas. Is that the correct motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to certify the results of the June 2nd, 2020 primary election canvass.
That was my motion.
That's what I thought. That's what I heard, pretty much. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Oh,
Can I just comment now, or do you want me to wait?
you can comment now.
All right, well, I just think things went pretty darn well. And, you know, the fact that we had this avalanche of absentee ballots, I think, threw things off a little bit. But during the process of preparing for this, so many of our poll workers retired from the field because they were concerned about the virus and their age. And that's how I wound up getting drafted by the auditor.
Because of your youthful age?
Well, I felt it was my patriotic duty to do what I could to help the election go through. And so I know that Bob's staff really did a great job, worked their tails off, and so did the staff from other departments in our county. And I think that the city also had people working very hard to get things accomplished. I talked to one that I ran into at Lewis yesterday who was on salary and not getting paid to work till 1 in the morning. And it's very commendable. And while things didn't go exactly perfectly, I think there's a lot to be said for the process that we had this time. And I would also commend the Secretary of State for sending out the mailing to allow people to apply for an absentee ballot during this this virus. And that's basically my comments.
Thank you. Yeah, I would, just to follow up on that, and I think we'll have an opportunity to visit a little bit more tomorrow. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that worked really hard on this, and I think there's probably lessons that we can learn from this and ways that we can work to make sure that processes get documented so that the next time, because I think there probably will be a lot more absentee ballots in the future, kind of like anything else, once you learn how to do it, you realize it's not so intimidating and that it worked well for you. So, but we can possibly visit about that more tomorrow when we have all
Yes.
the commissioners here. All right, so I had a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Barth, Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this is our opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? I think they'd have to be hiding out in the hallway. If they are, I don't see anybody. All right, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Barth,
Aye.
Karski,
Aye.
Hiberger,
Aye.
Bender.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning.